Hello grade 10 students and welcome to our lesson. Our lesson today is about nutrients, carbohydrates and lipids. Let's first look at the pictures and deduce from them. What does the athlete and the racing car need to keep on moving to reach the finish line and win the race? Of course, they both need energy. But what is the source of energy used by both? The source of energy for the athlete is food, whereas the energy source for the car is fuel. Let's now look at our objectives. By the end of the lesson, you as a student should be able to: first, distinguish between essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients. Second, compare between carbohydrates and lipids as essential nutrients for human body. Our key terms for today are carbohydrate, nutrients, food, and lipids. And now, let's start brainstorming together and answer the following questions. Question 1. Explain the term food. Food is any solid or liquid substance that can be digested to build tissues, provide energy necessary for vital processes, and prevent diseases. Question 2. List at least 4 importance of food in a human body. First, build new cells and tissues for growth and repairing damaged cells. Second, provide the body with energy necessary for vital activities such as breathing and digestion. Third, prevention of diseases. And last, maintain fitness and is essential for doing sports. Let's start by activity 2. Read the following paragraph, then compare between essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients by filling the following table. Let's start by essential nutrients. Essential nutrients are nutrients that the body cannot produce. So if the body cannot produce these nutrients, how can we get them? What is the source of these nutrients? These nutrients must be obtained from food. And there are several main classes of essential nutrients, which are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, and water. What about non-essential nutrients? Non-essential nutrients are nutrients that the body can produce, and they are obtained from sources other than food. For example, cholesterol, that is produced by the liver, vitamin D, that is produced by skin when exposed to sunlight, and vitamin K, that is produced by the intestinal bacteria. And now, study the below figure, then answer the following questions. Let's look at the following picture. The picture shows honey, fruits, and sweets, and all these are food containing simple carbohydrates that are made up of hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Let's answer the questions now. Question 1. Define carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are organic compounds that are composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Question 2. What is the food source of simple carbohydrates? Honey, fruits, and sweets. List some examples of simple carbohydrates. Fructose, glucose, and lactose are examples of simple carbohydrates. Let's now study the below figure, then answer the following questions. The figure shows 2 types of complex carbohydrates, which are starch and cellulose. We all know that starch is found in bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes, whereas cellulose is found in cell wall of plant cells, as we studied before. Both starch and cellulose are made up of repeating units of simple carbohydrate, which is glucose. What is the food source of complex carbohydrate? Wheat, bread, potato, and rice. List some examples of complex carbohydrates. Starch and cellulose. Deduce the types of carbohydrates. We have 2 types of carbohydrates, which are simple and complex carbohydrates. What is the importance of carbohydrates on human body? It contributes to 55 to 60% of the amount of energy consumed from food per day. 1 gram of carbohydrates provide the body with 4 kilocalories. Second, it helps in the synthesis of cell membrane and nucleic acids, the DNA and the RNA. Third, it stores energy in the form of glycogen in the liver and muscles. What are the effects of too much carbohydrates in the body? So what's the effect of excess carbohydrate intake? How does it affect our body? Eating too much carb may cause obesity and weight gain, diabetes, and tooth decay, especially if you don't brush your teeth after eating sweets. And now, let's study the figure, then answer the following questions. The picture shows some high-fat foods that contains lipids, which are found in vegetable oil, oilseeds, animal fats, milk, fish, and meat. All these lipids consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's why we call them organic compounds. And now, let's answer the questions. Question 1. State why are lipids considered as organic compounds? Lipids are organic compounds since it contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Question 2. Deduce the importance of lipids in human body. They are source of energy. Each gram of fat gives 9 kilocalories. Lipids act as carrier of fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. It's also an important part of the cell membrane surrounding every cell in our body. It protects some internal body organs, such as kidneys, since there is a layer of fat surrounding your vital organs and keeping them protected. It has a protective function, especially under the skin, where it helps in maintaining constant body temperature despite the external temperature. And now, let's summarize what we have learned today by completing the following mind map. Today we studied 2 types of nutrients, which are the carbohydrates and lipids. There are 2 types of carbohydrates, simple and complex. An example of complex carbohydrate is starch, whereas the example of simple carbohydrate is glucose. The importance of carbohydrate is structure of the cell membrane and its source of energy. What are the consequences of excess intake of carbohydrate? First, they mentioned here diabetes. What else? Tooth decay. Both lipids and carbohydrates are organic compounds. What is the reason? Because they are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. What is the importance of lipids? Source of energy and protective function. What are the consequences of excess intake of lipids? Heart disease and obesity.